Good morning, friends. It's Marquise Martin Hayes, and it's time for Thriving Thursdays. This has been an amazing time over the last 6, 7 months that we've been having Thriving Thursdays, and it's only going to get better. I don't know about you last Thursday, but I was having a good time relaxing with family. And so we're back, ready to thrive and kick out the rest of this year as if it's been amazing all along. Why? Because your life has been impacted by everything going on. Yes, indeed. But it's never defined by it. It's never the final state. It's only a temporal state on your way to the greatness, manifesting who you are and all the things that are important to you. So, as always, let's take a quick break for a commercial. Right here, Rodan and Fields. This regimen right here literally is what I use daily on my face in the morning and at night. It's the Redefine regimen by Rodan and Fields. Helps keep my skin looking young, vibrant, toned, and ready to go. One of the coolest things about this newest release of the Redefine regimen is that you can mix and match. You can go with a facial cleanser that feels like clay or feels like soap. You can also choose your moisturizers. So you have options that you can customize for your experience of you. Rodan and Fields. I don't know if you saw my post lately or not, but I was recently in an airport last week, saw a couple dermatologists from the San Francisco Bay Area. I was rocking my RNF shirt, and they said to me, "Are you a rep for Rodan and Fields?" I said, "Absolutely." And I asked them a question. I said, "Why did you ask?" They said, "Well, we're both dermatologists in the Bay Area and in LA, and we love when our clients use Rodan and Fields." And I told them, I said, "That's great, because I plan to move to Santa Monica." And they went on to say, "Once you do that, you'll likely grow your business 4x. Hey, I don't need any more incentive than that, than to put my feet on the beach and watch my business grow. Anyway, we're here for Thriving Thursdays, so let's jump into it. Today, I've got a friend, one of my besties, one of my homies, one of my partners, Coach Giordani Mckoy. Now, I've advertised and told you guys, if you want to be boldly lit and ready to go, then it's about that time. All I can tell you is this. If you have questions, if you have insights, you want to follow her. If you've been looking for a coach, you've been saying, "I know I want to take it to the next level, but there's so many coaches out there. I don't know who to go with." She's somebody you seriously want to consider. So without further delay, let's bring in the coach, Giordani Mckoy. What's happening, coach?
Hey, hello, hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. And I am so excited to be here. Let's get the party started.
That's literally her energy. We hang out on the streets of Chicago, and she's literally like, "Let's just do it." And I love it. I love it because that energy that you own, really, most people are conservative. Most people are reserved. They're unwilling to stretch themselves. Got a little echo. I'll figure that out. Don't worry about it. But you, on the other hand, you are willing to take the risk. So before we get into why that's who you are and have become, tell us a little bit about you. Let the people know a little bit about you, your heart, what you do, and whatever shows up for you.
Interesting. Well, so I am really echoey.
I know. We'll figure it out. I'll play with it in the background. You keep going.
Okay. So I am an ordinary woman out here doing extraordinary things.
Yes, indeed.
I wear different hats. So I am I actually resigned from being a nurse for 17 years. And I'm doing something that I thought I would have never done before, right? Which is actually pursuing what I really love and what 100% lights me up. So right now I am a transformational life coach. And what does that mean, right? What does that mean? I actually help people in major transitional periods in their life actually go through those transitions feeling way more confident, way more certain, and way more clear. So 2020 has even shown me more of who I am. And I think it's done that for so many of us.
Yeah.
So I am evolving and growing and expanding just like you are.
I love it. I love it. Yes. 2020 has done that, right? It's had a way of, I like the word pruning. Like, it's painful for a plan, I would imagine, but it is. Getting things cut away and having things taken away that you are accustomed to is extremely uncomfortable. But I used to try to fight it. The truth is, I don't know any other way to grow other than being.
I love it. So,
You know, I mean, like, if you're not uncomfortable, it just can't happen.
I like it. I love it. What a realization that I've come to recently.
Okay.
And it's not just something I thought of. It is like there's fact. And if we go behind and we look back at our lives, right? We look back at the times where we felt where we expanded the most.
Okay.
And I'm very particular of my words because there's so much power in words, right?
Indeed.
However, I've noticed that there normally is a breakdown before there is a breakthrough. So, and that breakdown can look very different to different people.
Yes. Yes.
It can look so different, right?
Yes.
Different people. That breakdown can mean you had a week where you cried all week and you're like, what's wrong with me? So I'm going to give you an example. I swear I'm going to give you an example. Okay.
Okay.
Oh my God, this is so funny. I love it. I love it because it's so funny because the things that we worry about, right?
Mm-hmm.
The things we worry about. And then later on the other side, we're like, that was me.
Yeah. I've had some of those moments.
Right. So I'm going to tell you, so I launched a group, I'd say 6 weeks ago, right?
Okay.
And I was in a virtual event. There's a spiritual coach that I follow. I really like her. I think she's very powerful. So she had a virtual event.
Okay.
So I attended the event. So every time I'm in her container, in her group, virtually in person, there's always a shift, a major shift.
Okay.
So because I always raise my hand. I always participate, you know.
We got to talk about firewalking later.
Right. You got to participate in your life, right? You don't want to be
Pause. You got to be, no, seriously. That's a gem right there. Because most people don't, that just like blew over. Yeah, of course. I show up here. No. Break that down for us, coach. Like, what does it mean?
Participate, show up, speak up, live. If you want to laugh. Like, I hope I have a belly laugh on this because I love to belly laugh, right?
Yes.
You have to participate in your life. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to be, just saying whatever comes to mind. One of the biggest obstacles that people have, how when they say that we're in our own way, right? We're in our own way, right?
Yes, I know the phrase. It used to haunt me.
A big part of that, like at different levels, you're in your own way for different reasons and things like that. But when you're first starting on this journey and you're first starting, what a lot of people don't do is ask. A lot of people don't raise their hand and ask. A lot of people don't put themselves out because when you ask, you actually step into vulnerability and courage, right? Because you want to flex that muscle. So it's not about being attached to the responses. Right. No. Right. You don't want to be like, oh my God, I'm going to ask. And then everyone's going to run and support me because no. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about you flexing your muscle.
Okay.
You flexing your vulnerability and courage muscle because every time you flex that muscle.
Wait. Did you just call vulnerability a muscle?
Yeah. So you have to flex your courage and your vulnerability muscle, right? Yeah. Because when you flex that muscle, you get used to flexing it and it becomes stronger and it becomes stronger and it becomes stronger, right?
Yes, but we're talking about vulnerability. How is vulnerability strength?
Okay, I'm gonna give you another analogy. I want to go back to my story before I forget.
Okay, tell me.
But I'm gonna give you another analogy, right? I'm gonna give you this little scenario. So imagine it's a snowstorm.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know if we have, I'm sure
That's
we have
easy in
some Chicago
Chicago.
people watching. Okay. So it is a snowstorm, right? We
Yeah.
got our scarf and our hat.
Yeah.
And then there's one person that decides to stay in the house.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then there's one person that decides to go outside, right?
Okay.
And just walk out in the snowstorm and pursue whatever it is that they want to go for. And then there's one person that decides to stay in the house and wait till whatever they think is supposed to come, wait till it arrives.
Okay.
Who is the more vulnerable one?
The person in the storm.
Who's the stronger one?
The person in the storm.
Exactly.
You're right.
Exactly.
Good.
It's like I'm
Good.
out here, and if we want to take it to another level, let's imagine they're naked in the snowstorm. I know it's weird, right? It's a weird scenario, but can you imagine yourself naked in a snowstorm outside in Chicago? So, and that's the same thing when we step into vulnerability. Like, say you step into a relationship and previously you were hurt, man, it feels the same way.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh my God, I'm out here naked. I don't even know what's about to happen.
Well, I'm afraid to get naked, so I show up with clothing protecting me from actually being comfortable and connecting.
Yes.
That's good.
So who is really, like, at the end of the day, who's the badass?
Yeah, vulnerability.
Who's the badass, right? Not the one that stayed in the house safe.
No.
I'm sorry, boo.
No, you're right.
Badass title.
You're right. You're right.
The one that's out. Some people might say they're crazy. I call them a badass. So that's vulnerability, right? That's vulnerability.
Yeah, it's true. It's so funny. I do this show because I want all my, the audience to be inspired, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality is you're actually hitting home for me. I was hit with that this summer, the ask. One of my buddies, ridiculous business cat voice is dope. He says, Keith, your network.
Woo! 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 I got something for you on that one. Go ahead. Woo! Whoever is watching. No. Finish your story. Whoever is watching.
Network is huge.
Hey, because I got something for you.
To start asking for favors. He's like, everything you need is in your network. And I said, yeah, but I got some things I want to work on and get it to a particular place. He goes, no, that's just the problem. It's like, you need to go now and call the favors in, because what you don't see, they can help you get it. And I was sitting there like, make a list of your network.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Let me tell you, this one is worth some money.
Okay.
Whoever's watching, but if you find value, which you will, please do us a favor and share this. That's number one, right? Yeah. Share now, right? Share the value with your friends and your family. Number one. Number two, I don't want to forget about the original story, which I don't think I will, but I do want to talk about a very powerful book. Okay. I have to give the credit where the credit is due, and it's due to the book.
Okay.
However, the reason why I picked up the book is because I believe in connecting. So that's one of the things that differentiates me. I'm going to be honest, compared to most coaches. I will take, and if I have a group and there's somebody in the group that has a talent and I know someone in that industry, or I know someone, I will connect the two.
Yeah.
Okay? I believe in connection. But let me tell you something about connection. Okay. Let me tell you something. And I believe the book, I'm going to tell you right now, I believe it's called How to Be a Super Connector or Powerful Connector, but I'll give you the name for sure.
Okay.
You have to look, Okay. If you look at your immediate circle, we're going to give your immediate circle a name. The book gives it its own name, but I don't remember the name that the book gives it. So we're going to give it a name. So let's say you look at your very intimate circle, right? So there's only really so many people you talk to on a very regular, consistent basis. There just is, right? So maybe you talk to maybe like 4 or 5 people on a regular basis. Okay, cool. That's your like maybe immediate circle. Maybe you talk to more, maybe you talk to less, whatever. So in those relationships, you look at those relationships, and then you look at your not so immediate circle, but they're not your distant, they're not strangers.
Okay.
They're like acquaintances, right?
Okay.
So look at that number. Think of the people that you talk to on a regular basis, right? Maybe 4, 5, 6, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
It's not that big. Really isn't that big.
No.
And then look at the people that they know. Right? And then not forget the people they know, but look at your acquaintances.
Yeah.
How much does that number increase?
Significantly.
Exactly, right? So we're going to talk about your acquaintances. So your acquaintances are maybe people you talk to maybe, I don't know, once every 4 or 5 months, maybe once a year, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
And then there's some people that you maybe haven't even talked to in years, but there's still a connection, right? Like you're
absolutely. I thought about that today.
Even a more watered down version of an acquaintance, right?
Yeah. Oh, they could be cool, but we just chat when we chat because we're doing things.
Right. But you have different relationships with different people, you know? So it's not necessarily about how much you talk. It's more about, you know, the closeness that you have in the relationship.
Correct.
So how much does that number grow? So the closer the people, the closer the circle, the smaller the number, right?
Right.
The less intimate, the more the number grows. Now let's look at it. Let's really look and break this down. Where have most of your connections come from?
My close circle.
Really?
No, actually, that's actually not true. Most of my connections come from just like we met through somebody else and it's expanded to something else.
You got it.
Yeah. It's kind of like the idea that I realize I grow the most when I'm out in the world versus in front of my computer.
Okay. Well, but this is another world in the computer too. But like right now, I have a friend that's connecting me somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
She is not someone that I love her dearly, but she's not someone I talk to on a very regular basis. She's not like one of my, not like my close, right? But we're cool. Like we're cool, right?
Yeah.
So guess what? If you really look at your life and you look at the majority of your connections haven't been made through those 4 or 5 people in your close circle.
No, they're not. Yeah, I'm experiencing that right now. I have one international business VP corporate coach that just entered my life. I have a company that I may be able to supply that I met through another opportunity that's an associate. Like, when I start looking at what you're talking about right now, the film that I'm in came through somebody. Like, you're right. Yeah, it
did not come from your bestie, your this, your that. Like it didn't come from those that maybe 4, 5, 6 people. It really didn't. Probably. It comes from the because you have different layers, right?
Right.
It normally comes from like the acquaintances or even some people on Facebook or even people that have been following you are like, well, I really like your mission and stuff like that.
Somebody hit me up yesterday and said they know somebody who can help me with product development on Facebook.
This is what I'm talking about.
Which is right in alignment in terms of timing with what I'm working on. So yes.
Exactly. So this goes back. So I'm going to revert back. Okay. This goes back to the framework that I teach. I teach a 3-part framework. It is own your story, own your value, own your energy. And a lot of people, when they're the people that I mostly work with are people that are going through major transitions in their life. Okay. And I help them go through this transition with confidence, certainty, and clarity. And one of the stories that we have to work on, right, is that my connections are limited. Are they really limited though?
Yeah.
Right. Because when we break down, not your 4 or 5 people, but when we break down like your acquaintances, right?
Yeah.
And then some of the people you went to school with, some of the people you even went, I was having a Facebook conversation with somebody I went to high school with. I don't even talk to her. I don't, but she was going through a little bad time. So I sent her a link that will hopefully help her.
Right.
We've never even been on the phone.
Yeah.
And what if she pursues that? And what if she actually gets a job she's happy with?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Our connections are not limited. Your thoughts are limited.
Absolutely.
But your connections are not limited.
Absolutely. That's accurate. Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right. So first of all, if you haven't picked up the nuggets she's dropping, then just hit rewind after the video. I don't know what's going on with my video. Don't worry about it. We're good. We're going to keep it popping. And in a moment, I'll make some adjustments in the background. But Coach, one of the things, Donnie, that happens often is that people have the opportunity to hear about a coaching program and hear about what the coach offers. What they don't always get is the opportunity to hear about who the coach is, how the coach was framed, how the coaching came about, those transition periods in their life. Right? And the first thing that comes to mind for me, you can start where you want, but the first thing that comes to mind to me is when we went firewalking.
That's I hope I don't get emotional on here, but
it's great if you do. It's all the part of being present. I'm a black background while you teach that.
Okay, so what would you like for me? Where would you like for me to start? Because there's so much there.
Talk about what got. Okay, so first of all, people think firewalking is crazy. So maybe talk about what got you to take even that possibility, and then what birthed because of it.
Nice.
So
Okay.
they can know you.
Great. No, that's awesome. Thank you. Okay, so warning, I hope I don't get emotional. I don't normally get emotional on lives, but I'm comfortable in my vulnerability if I do. So why did I go? Now, when we say firewalking, right? That is, I went firewalking because I attended a Tony Robbins convention. Now, why would I do that? Right? Like, don't you have something better to do on the weekends than go see Tony Robbins? So I was at a point in my life where I felt like I needed to make a transition, right? So I was in my late 30s. I'm going to be 45 in a couple days. So yes, thank you. I accept all the compliments. So I was in my late 30s and I was really focused on my career, right? I was really putting a lot of energy and everything. I was going towards a nurse practitioner degree and so on and so forth. So I was really focused on my career, which is great. Okay. And I had attempted several relationships. Okay. Obviously by the age of 38. And I kind of started to feel like I was the common denominator. Because none of them worked. I have a different perspective of that now, but at that time I felt like none of them worked, right? So I needed to know what was wrong with me. Like, number one, what was wrong with me? Why did none of these relationships work? Number one. Number two, not staying stuck in the what's wrong with me energy, but how can I be the best version of me, right? Be the best entrepreneur, be the best daughter, be the best girlfriend, fiance, wife, like be the best friend. How can I be the best version of me? So I started becoming obsessed with whatever the best version of me looks like. And I just stumbled. I stumbled upon some videos. There was some Lisa Nichols videos on YouTube. I stumbled upon the videos and then I was like, oh my God, I became obsessed with Lisa Nichols. I've sent you some videos.
Yep.
And then a friend of mine sent me a video. She was at a Tony Robbins event, and the way he explained something really just captivated me. So I found out a couple months later he's coming to Chicago. I purchased that ticket. I called my keys. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I called another friend of mine and we went, right? We went. So it was mind blowing.
Yeah. It was indeed.
My God. It was mind blowing, right? It was amazing. But what led me there, right, to kind of sum it up was I was looking for whatever the best version of me looked like.
Yes.
Because I was doubting and I was really starting to think, especially in relationships, I was like, I'm the common denominator here. Like, I need to own there's something I'm not doing right. There's something that I'm not doing right, because we can blame this guy, that guy, this guy. But you know what? I'll be honest, I've met some great men. I don't have those trauma stories. Like, oh, girl, he just did. No. And if he tried to, he was gone. Right. So I don't really have a lot of those trauma stories. Maybe there's one or two that, you know, were around, they weren't supposed to be, but it's not like my whole dating experience was traumatic. I met some nice men that didn't have it figured out either. And I also didn't have it figured out. Right. So I just wanted to own that. So then when I do meet that guy, right, that the best version of me can show up. That doesn't mean that controls what he does or not. But it means that the best version of me shows up. And that's all I really care about.
That's good. See, so, you out here preaching. You out here preaching. Because so often we're looking outwardly and blaming someone else or faulting someone else, when the reality is we've not done the work.
Yes. Well, you know what? I'm not going to say you have to do anything. It's your life. It's your business, you know?
Yes, you can have whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly. You can do whatever you want, right? Right. Yeah. The big book says you have free will. And it's true. You have free will. However, you can choose to live your life in intention, or you can choose to live in reaction. And I'm going to tell you, and don't feel offended, anyone watching, because this is not to offend, but I am a straight talker. And that's just who I am. And I'm very unapologetic about it. Okay. So when you live in reaction, dogs and cats live in reaction. Kids live in reaction. The children in kindergarten live in reaction. Okay. People think that you reach 30s and 40s. I'm an adult. I'm mature. No. Just because you pay bills and you might have a good credit score, that doesn't mean you've arrived or you've grown up, okay? When you start to live in intention and you start to control your emotions and you start to show up as the best version of you, this is when you start making the step. Because if not, I'm going to tell you, and this is the way it is. We are not taught emotional maturity in school. Most of the families we come from have no clue about it. And the majority of human beings are walking around as 5 to 7 year old children. That is their emotional maturity. So let me tell you, I'm going to tell you, I was 4.
Where does that even come from? How did you discover anything of that nature? Because I'm listening to you. No, we don't learn emotional maturity in school. No, we don't learn it in our family. No, we don't learn it when we get grown. How did it stop? I mean, how do we then learn that other than pain?
Woo!
You know, I mean,
let me tell you, you can either seek personal development because you are being pulled, or because you're being, a lot of times, it's coming. I'm dropping. It's a gold nugget's coming. You can be pushed by pain until you're pulled by vision. Okay. And a lot of times we're pushed by pain. I was pushed by the pain of failed relationships. I was pushed by the pain of desiring, right, to have a family and desiring. And I was like, I'm the common denominator here. What's really going on?
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm going to blame it like, oh my, he was no good. He was no, these were regular men that some of them were phenomenal in different areas, right? And they didn't have it figured out. And I didn't have it figured out either.
Yes.
I didn't want to, I at least want to have control over how I show up. So when I know, one thing I'm afraid of, let me tell you, one thing I'm very afraid of is regret.
Okay.
I don't like to look back at situations and know that it was my fault. I don't like that. I don't. That doesn't work well for me, right?
Okay.
So what you do is your business. And if you want to act a fool as a friend, as a whatever, I don't care.
Right.
Like that's your business. As long as I know I can walk away with a clean slate, that's all that matters.
Okay.
Right. So I'm unattached to my expected desire, right? My desire of what my outcome is. I'm only attached to how I show up.
Wow. Wow. Okay, wait. I'm unattached to my expected desire. I'm only responsible for how I show up.
Yes. The only thing I'm excited and geeked about is how I show up.
That answers something one of my partners was asking me. He's like, dude, how are you in this space that you're in? And I didn't have that verbiage, but it's really it's a thing of, I know what I believe in my vision. So I cannot act a fool right now when it doesn't look like that. Otherwise, do I really hold true to what I see?
Right.
Because if I hold true to what I see, then what I'm doing right now can't be disarray, can't be discombobulated, nuts, crazy, off kilter, flustered. Now, don't get me wrong, I have moments of frustration waiting for the vision to come to pass, but what is my real truth? And so that's one thing. The other thing, before we go too far down the road, is I love that you talked about you're responsible for how you show up, that you notice that you are the common denominator and that you want to make some changes. The reason why that stands out to me is I know so many people, maybe it's our age range, I don't know, but I know so many people who say, well, what's for me will be, or it must have not been for me, or God didn't have it that way for me. And I'm like, that is all BS.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
It's all BS. It's not it's the responsibility that you're talking about hasn't been addressed. Not saying that something's wrong with them, but the necessity to go within and whatever that looks like for them. As you said, they have free will, but not to blame the results of their life
on other people.
That's just the way it was supposed to be, or that must have been God's will for me. And it's like, no, even God says you have free will. So it's your choosing or lack thereof, which is still a choice. Okay, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And the big book
this is your journey on how you got to where you are, so people get to know you. Go ahead.
Okay, so that's one of the major reasons why I believe I started to get really interested in what else, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, but look, I was degreed up, I was traveled up, like I've been to every continent.
You don't play.
You know what I mean? Like I financially, I mean, not rich, right? But comfortable, right? Yeah, I wasn't wanting for anything. I wasn't, I wasn't lacking anything. Whatever I wanted, I could get, I can buy. But there was still something missing. Something wasn't, something was missing. And I didn't know. I thought it was that relationship. Woo!
Okay.
Woo!
Okay.
This is good.
Checking the boxes. Oh, relationship.
I thought it was that relationship. That's why I started thinking like, well, I'm the common denominator. Don't get me wrong. Relationships are huge.
Yeah.
Huge, right?
And
huge.
Important. Yeah, sure.
However, this is confession time. This is really confession time. So, Donnie used to need a relationship before,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there's a difference between needing and wanting now.
Certainly.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like if I didn't have a relationship, I felt maybe unsupported, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't have a relationship, maybe I felt like a lack of connection or unloved or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now what I realize is that it's my responsibility to create all of that connection and love and
Yes.
all that
Yes.
stuff in my own life.
Yes.
In my own life.
Yes.
And then pair up
Yes.
to
Yeah.
share that with someone else.
Yeah.
So I am no longer in a space of need at all.
Yeah.
I am now in a space of desire. I'm excited, right? It's like,
Yes.
And it's awesome. Like I'm even excited talking about it, you know?
Yeah.
But some people, until they reach that time, they're not going to get excited, right? They're not going to be giddy. Like I'm excited now. I'm happy now.
You know what's interesting is first of all, I completely agree with everything you said, and I remember singing love songs to myself because I love love.
Wow, I love that.
Right?
I love that.
Because I learned that
amazing.
Me wanting love had nothing to do with someone else giving it to me. It had to do with me not blocking the flow through my own experience of myself.
Woo!
Right? But you, it's true. It's transformative.
You know, I question for you. I can't let this go. Before you give love, where do you feel it first?
Within.
Exactly.
From within.
Right? And that's the beauty of it. Before I give a gift, I'm like, I love giving gifts, right? I'm like, I'm excited. I feel the enthusiasm and the excitement and all that stuff within. Mm-hmm. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So to that whole point, right? And I'm just vibing with where we are. Like the final direction is slipping a little bit right now, but the idea of really going within to discover that, because it can only emanate from that place. And in a lot of instances, we have it. You know, I don't even fault people who need love because there's such a lack. There's not a lack of love. There's been a lot of interesting experiences. And so they've not learned to love who they are, to embrace the fullness of who they are, that there is no good and bad in them. There's just them. And then embracing that as part of their experience to healing. But back to you, because this is all about your journey. And
no. This is I love the back and forth. I love the back and forth.
It's one of those things that for me, when you're healthy, if John left tomorrow or Sarah left today, as much as you love John and Sarah, okay, because I love me. And disappointed for departure, certainly. But life thrives for the next opportunity.
Oh my God.
The allowance of love through me. Right? And so what I love what you're doing, one of the things that we talked about, and I know you're headed there, and we got like 20 good minutes. Excellent. I know you're headed there, but some of what you're talking about alludes to that highlight. Like if you're a strong woman, you got it together, et cetera, but you're out of tune with your femininity. A lot of it just has to do with love.
Oh, wow. This is so deep. Oh my God.
A lot of it just has to do with
so, you know, I'm going to tell you,
go ahead, coach.
You touched on something really big, right? So everyone's different, right? Yeah. Everyone's different.
Yes.
But as a woman, I noticed that's one of the main things I was missing. Okay. When you're an entrepreneur, right? When you're like a superhero, you know what I mean?
That's
and
you.
you right, you do the rescue, and you know, a lot of women now we have this, and whoever's watching, don't be offended by this. It's not to offend, it's to become aware of. Okay, just
Yeah, it's all about thriving. That's why we're here.
We have this. I'm a boss. I'm a boss. I'm a boss.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool, right?
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
cool.
handle your business.
Yeah,
And show up, for
handle
real.
your business. But if you are a woman, that feels like there's something missing, right? I would invite you to look into, are you really tapping into your femininity? Right? Are you really tapping into your heart, or do you feel like being emotional is weak? Right? Do you feel like I mean, because really that's where fulfillment lives. Like that's where fulfillment lives.
Wow.
Okay. But if you're so busy being a boss, right? You're like, I'm a boss. When you're a go-getter, and don't get me wrong, I'm a go-getter, right? I get it done.
Hold on. She's
Okay.
a bona fide go-getter. She's not telling you her business. She gets it done, and she's been getting it done for a minute. Just quick commercial. Go ahead.
However, that's a lot of masculine energy. And when we live there all the time, right? When we come in contact with maybe a man, okay, sometimes we ruin it. Sometimes we ruin it because we're so used to being in our masculine, and we feel that stepping into our feminine in that vulnerable, that like tender place, is weak. And it's not weak, right? It's like the masculine needs the feminine, and the feminine needs the masculine.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because I wasn't even thinking about going there, but this is good. This is a very important topic. And we are so much about now, you know, we have this culture where so many women, I mean, are handling their business.
Absolutely.
Like, right.
Absolutely.
We, you know, however, as women, there's a part in us that if we forget about it, if we don't pay attention to it, we will only be living half of who we're supposed to live. Like we'll only be half of ourselves.
Yeah.
And there'll be a whole nother half that's missing.
Yeah. And what's interesting, and I want you to continue, but I just want to throw this caveat in really quick. The same is true for men.
Yes.
The same is true for men.
Yes. Matter of fact, one of my clients that I work with, so he was my first male client. I'm going to be like, you know, and I told him recently, I was like, oh my God, you were my first client. I was so scared. I
remember we talked about getting something.
When I started working with him. But let me tell you, do you know what he says now? He's so funny. He is so funny. He goes, I'm chasing feelings.
Wow.
He goes, oh no, honey. He goes, I'm chasing feelings. He's like, oh no,
really cool.
I'm all about the joy. And he goes, oh no, hell no. Because he really knows. Cool. Like there was one time we were talking, we had a session, and I asked him, I said, when was the last time that you felt joy? Like that. And you know what? Yeah. It's not only him, because do you know why? Someone asked me this question on one of my first coaching sessions.
Okay.
And he said, I want you to ignite right now in your body the feeling of joy. Go back to a moment where you felt joy.
Yeah. I
couldn't do it.
Okay.
And you know, I'm a fun, right?
Yeah, like, you love life and passion and laughter, all of it.
But there was a disconnection if I can't do that.
That's accurate.
That means I'm not really connected with all of me.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So just like, you know, the client that, you know, I'm working with, like he is now starting to get more connected with his feminine. He's very masculine.
No, I get it. And that's good.
You know, we both need it. We both need it.
We do. Continue, Doc. I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, you're so funny. I'm not a doc, but so look, where did we? I don't even know where we just went all over the place, but it's all good. So you know what? I think I started off at like things that we're afraid of, I think,
Yeah.
or something like that. And I was talking about that I attended this this coach's spiritual retreat. It was like a 3-day, event online.
Mhm.
And I now have a group that I'm working with, okay? And I'll be launching another program in January. However, I'm going to tell you, although I might show up very like, yeah, let's do it, and I am about that. I really am.
Yeah.
The stories that we tell ourselves, are so, oh my God, like they can make or break you, right? So
Absolutely.
I was in this virtual retreat, and like I said, I participate in my life. So I was raising my hand and all in. And she's like, what are you afraid of? Like, what's on your mind right now? And I was going to launch this group, and it was my first group.
Okay.
And I told her, I was like, what if nobody comes to my party?
Hey, but that's like real talk though.
That's real. And you know what? And I'm going to share something with you. I'm getting really vulnerable here.
Yeah.
I always had this little fear as a kid that I would throw a party and nobody would show up. And, for some reason, it's like I have to still deal with that same fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it shows up. So those stories, even though I had get-togethers and people came.
Right.
And that's so funny. I've even had people go on trips before, like groups, like, hey, let's get that. But I always had this little thing, like I was going to throw a party and nobody was going to come. And it's so weird, right? So now that, I'm empowered, right? I'm showing up on this and that. Every time you're going to have a breakthrough, you have a breakdown. Okay. So I was on that event, and I was like, what if nobody shows up to my party? And I literally was boohooing. Like I was like, what does this mean? This is me. And don't get me wrong, from the outside, somebody might be like, well, that's no big deal. But let me tell you, every time you step into a new realm, it's your brain that's going to tell you all these lies.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All these lies. So before you have a breakthrough, I think that's where we kind of started it off a little bit.
Yep.
Before you have a breakthrough, if you look back at your life, a lot of times you had a breakdown.
Yeah. It's so funny. I used to fight that and say, no, you don't have to have something bad to get something good. And it's not even saying that. It's just saying that for that growth to happen, there has to be a crucible. There has to be something that forces transformation, because we're lazy and would rather be comfortable.
You know what? Well, so let's reword it, right?
Please, go ahead.
Right. So we're attaching breakdown to a bad meaning.
Right.
Just because I was on that crying and like literally like, oh my God. And then will I be able to serve them? Right. Like, will they have tips? Will they, will I, and then this little kid in me, because we all still have a little girl or a little boy. We all do. Right. And sometimes, a lot of times, if we're not careful, our little girl or our little boy is still running the show. They're still in the driver's seat. 4 and
5-year-old.
Yes, they're still in
running.
The driver's seat. Yes. So my little girl was trying to be in the driver's seat. And if I tell you the transformations that have taken place in that group with those people, it would have been selfish for me to still operate and play scared. It would have been selfish, because when you play scared in life, the people that are your divine assignment do not get the blessing. They don't get the blessing. There's someone in that group that is going to launch a business that has always been afraid to charge. And it's emotional. Yeah. She's amazing and she's powerful, but she's always been afraid to charge because she lacks self-worth. She launched her business and she's charging. There's someone that waited 10 years to launch something that's in her heart. She's on a plane today going to Colombia to talk to the manufacturers.
Wow.
To launch her line.
Wow.
So if I would have played small, if I would have let my little girl run the show, the little girl that was afraid if people didn't show up to the party, then those people that were my divine assignment would not have been blessed. And that would have been selfish of me. So that's why this is so powerful. That's why this work is so meaningful, because transformation is not only about you. Transformation is about you passing it to your children. Transformation is generational. We talk about generational wealth, but we don't talk about generational transformation.
No.
And it's equally as important. Say I don't have kids. Say I decide to adopt children. Hello, what do you think I'm going to be instilling in those kids?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
My kids are going to be walking around talking about like, I'm president, honey. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even my
I'm
dog is,
strong. Like really?
Yeah, so it's like, no, it's transformational is huge. It's huge. And transformation starts. Some people might be like, well, how do I start?
This is good. This
is
good.
Like, how do I start? You're talking about all this. How do I start? Right?
Yeah.
You can start by being more intentional with your day. Right? I'm so geeked up. My earring fell off, but that's okay.
It's all good.
It's all good. It's all good. So, you can start off with being more intentional with your day. Right?
Yeah.
And the moment that someone normally piss you off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like woosah. And think to yourself, how is this going to benefit my day?
Okay.
Is this going to benefit me right now, or is this going to exhaust me and take energy away from the things that I want or the things that I need to do? Because the reality is that we need time management is, I think in my mind is out. It's more about, that's old fashioned. It's more about energy management. It's about energy management.
Indeed.
Right?
Indeed.
Right.
Indeed.
So when we learn to manage our energy, we learn to manage our life and we own it.
We get more done more effectively, and time is more available because we did it from a place that allowed it to just, we're in sync with ourselves.
Yes.
And so therefore it just flowed.
Yes.
It's good. We're down to our last 6-7 minutes.
Okay.
I think, what was it that made you say, you know what, I will coach the rest of my life?
Oh, wow. You know what? It was a pull. It wasn't a push. I was in Michelle's, container.
Yes.
Right. And we were doing video lives. We were doing live videos. And it was so funny. I started doing live videos. And at first I was like, whatever. It's cool. It's fun. I did it because it was fun. Right. It was fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I really got something to say. When I open my mouth, people actually listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say some good shit.
No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn. So then she offered another video. Okay.
Yeah.
And another class to up level.
Right.
And I wanted to be in her class. And I was like, I'm going to be a coach. And that was it. Honestly, it wasn't like I didn't even know what a coach was.
Yeah.
So I just, I just tried it. I tried it. And I tried it because it had made such a big difference in my life when I was in her container. Mm-hmm. There's a coach that started it all off for me, and his name is Mckoy.
Okay. Yes.
And he was the one that showed us really the difference between intention and reaction. And when you start to really master intention versus reaction, the game changes. It's the beginning stage. Okay. The beginning stage, right? Once you master that, and then you move on to different levels. But at every new level is a new limiting belief. Mm-hmm. there to challenge you,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
that's why it's good to have somebody that holds space in a container that can help you expand.
Yeah. And I know one of the things when we were talking about that also as part of your discovery during that journey in switching into coaching was that you realized you have been coaching in your nursing career and in your life with people your entire life just without the intention.
Yes. And yeah, I didn't even know what I was doing. Yeah.
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 That's good.
Yeah.
So what one thing, if there's only one thing they remember from this Zoom, this not even Zoom, StreamYard Live on Thriving Thursday that would transform their life, what one thing would you want the audience to take away?
Everything that you think you know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the times we don't know enough to be certain in that.
I've heard it once worded, no one's smarter enough to be pessimistic.
Yes. Everything that you think you know, I guarantee you that at a moment, in any moment, it can change.
That's the truth.
It can change, right? So this is not to doubt yourself and doubt your confidence. No. You walk with intention.
Yes.
To be confident, right? You walk with intention to grow your confidence and grow your certainty within yourself.
Yes.
But what I'm talking about is external, right?
Yes.
Every doubt that you have, right? You don't know that much to be that doubtful. Like you don't know that many people to be that doubtful.
That's right. That's
like,
right.
You need to know everyone to say, oh, I can't do this, or there aren't enough of this, or there. No.
Right.
We don't know enough.
Yeah. We just hadn't figured it out yet.
Right.
So therefore, there's no reason to hold on to it like it's truth.
Right. You can't hold on to doubts like they're truth, right? They're just your story. It's just a story you're telling yourself. And consistency is not your problem. Is that you're consistent in the wrong things. Right? So consistency is not your problem. You're just consistent in telling yourself the wrong stories.
It's good. Reminds me of my daily devotionals with Abraham Hicks. What am I focusing my attention on that I'm attracting to me based on the story?
Your story is everything. Your story is everything. It is, I'm telling you, it is everything. It's everything. It's everything. If you're telling yourself, oh, my connections are limited. Okay, that's your story. That's not necessarily the reality. That's your story, right? If you tell yourself that this group is bad or that group is, that's your story. You haven't met everybody from that group.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
It's a story, right?
Facts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a story. It's a story. And like you said, I like the way you worded it. And I think I was meaning to word it that way, but the words, but no, yeah, it's true. You don't know enough to be so doubtful.
That's good. Thank you. And thank you for your time today.
You're very, very welcome.
Hang out one sec. I'll be right back. Hang out one sec. Like most Thriving Thursdays, what else do I need to say? You heard it all. Rewind the tape, share it, impart it to others. Remind yourself that you're worthy. Remind yourself that you don't know enough to be doubtful about you and what you go get it. I'm Marquise Martin Hayes. I've had the privilege of hosting you on this Thriving Thursday. Peace.